Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Chupacabra's Lair coverage of E3 2015. I am your host, Larry the Chupacabra, and today we're going to be talking about and taking a closer look at Bethesda's newest title and newest game in the series for Fallout, Fallout 4, which takes us into a post-nuclear Boston to have adventures and solve a very different and unique mystery that we haven't seen in the previous games. And you know, I'm pretty enthused about this title. I don't usually say that about a lot of Bethesda games. I mean, I'm of the opinion that they kind of skimp on the places that matter, and then they fill it in with, like, weird little knickknacks and piles of crap in the back of caves. But Fallout 4 really seems to have improved on all of the things that I really didn't like about Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. Most notably, the gunplay and the combat mechanics, which I pretty much had to mod when I first got the game in order to make that make any real sense, and also the VAT system and some of the in-game crafting systems. So I guess we'll just start off by taking a look at the story. Fallout 4 has got a much different story. We actually get to see some of post-nuclear Boston before the bombs are dropped and before we wake up from our vault nap. You wake up in the morning, you're getting ready for work, you're either a husband or a wife as a part of a family, you can take your pick, and something's going on, there's some story elements, the guy from Vault Co. comes to take you to your vault because it's getting close, and then suddenly the bombs are dropping, and you've woken up in a post-apocalyptic Boston, and it's been 200 years, you're still alive, but you are the only survivor of your vault, and you have no idea what happened. You've lost a lot of your memories. You gotta figure out the answers to these numerous questions while also surviving in the wastes, and that is where our adventure begins. And just right off the bat, I mean, the story feels a lot more immersive than it did in the past for me. The graphics are much improved from the previous games, and we've got a new crafting mechanic in the game. You can go out and you can build and craft and form your own community, your own little colony, your own little town in the game, which brings up the fact that they've improved the crafting system, so it makes more sense. It's much simplified. It can be used by a wider array of people, which previously it required specific sets of stats. But to really get into the nitty-gritty of certain components of it, that's where you really have to have, like, high science and all of those other pieces. So, you know, I kind of dig that. The town idea, it's new, it's kind of strange, I'm wondering where that's gonna go, but I'm willing to give that one a shot, because, I mean, I'd love to have, like, a miniature tower defense game inside of Fallout where I could build Gatling turrets and laser cannons and walls and facilities and hire my own merchants that I could buy the stuff that I want from. Because, I mean, sometimes I just don't care for, like, farming or whatever, so that will give me the ability to play my Fallout the way that I want to, and that's great. I like that. The combat and the VAT systems have been really improved from the previous games, because in, like, Fallout 3 and New Vegas, they kind of had the holdover of VATs from the original kind of two-dimensional isometric games, and those were always kind of like stop time, cue up an action in, like, their face or something, with sniper accuracy, when in most of the combat, you would fire at people practically, you know, up right in their face, and somehow, magically, the bullets would miss their face. It was just not the best. It was kind of duct taped together. It never really felt meaningful, natural, or smooth. But Bethesda's had a lot of practice with first-person shooters since then. They definitely know their way around a pistol in this day and age, and the guns feel a lot more real. They seem to have their own heft, their models are improved, their firing feels a lot more satisfying when it impacts the enemy, there's better gore and blood and guts mechanics. It's looking pretty good. And VATS is no longer the stop time and kind of crutch yourself in combat mechanic that it used to be. Now, you get a brief window of time when you activate it, time slows down briefly to choose your target and aim, and then you can take it and shoot at them, and it really depends on your stats whether or not that's going to be particularly successful. It's no longer the crutch that it used to be, but more of like a nice little cherry on top to assist in combat and to be a lot smoother and more meaningful. So I'm definitely game for all of those changes. Now, there are a couple elephants in the room for me, a couple big elephants. One of them is the new companion system. I don't like companion systems in a lot of games. They're usually pretty gimmicky and pretty janky and don't work especially well. And in Fallout 4, we got to see during the gameplay preview and the trailer, you walk up and you get to have your very own dog. It's a story of a man-boy and his dog. And I'm okay with that. I'm definitely down. The dog can go fetch you stuff, can be told to go somewhere and engage in enemies, and so forth. But I'm just hoping that it feels meaningful to the gameplay. It interacts and, you know, interchanges with the things going on in the story to accomplish missions, and it feels good, it feels natural, and it feels like they're really helpful and that you've really been strategic with using your helpers, because in past games, they've upsold companions like Skyrim, and they end up just being an extra carry-on bag person who happens to take aggro in combat once in a while. It's helpful, but not really all that interesting, and if you didn't have one, I don't think a lot of people would have missed it. So hopefully they let you pick different people and a lot of different dogs and other members of your party. That feels good, it feels natural, and not forced like a minigame in Jak and Daxter where you had to play as the little orange ocelot creature. As long as there's nothing like that, I'm certainly game, and it should be a fun addition to the Fallout universe, because they've had companions before, but it's always just been like, I'm in combat, oh look, the dog or the person or the marauder is mauling people. Alright, I guess that works, you know. And so the last thing that kind of gets me curious, it raises an eyebrow, is in this day and age, we've got other story-driven games with beautiful graphics, wonderful gameplay, and really great and immersive story, like The Witcher 3. And Bethesda has come out and specifically stipulated we're not focusing so much on the graphics with this iteration, which is not good. I mean, just look at the game. It looks good. It looks improved. It's a great improvement from the previous games. There's great modeling. There's meh textures, but it definitely looks a lot better. You know, there's better lighting. The whole system looks much more dynamic. So it makes me wonder, why wouldn't just go the extra little step of improving it with some HD textures, some regular textures even, to really stop it from looking like a sort of gauzy, plasticky mess on the surface. I mean, right now, it just looks like a better polygoned out launch title for something like the PlayStation 3. And that does not fill me with a lot of enthusiasm. I mean, in this day and age, you really need to have gameplay, story, and graphics, and you don't need to skimp anymore. So that makes me wonder if it's not a situation where, as it is, the game kind of taxes your computer, and HD graphics would just make it practically unplayable for a lot of their customers. I mean, Skyrim was another game that didn't look that great. It looked pretty dated when it came out, and it should have been able to run on my much older toaster of a gaming PC, but it ran pretty badly. And that's not a good thing. If it looks not as good, it should run about as good as it looks. So we'll have to see where that goes. Hopefully, pretty close after launch, people come out with their own mods to improve the textures of it. But, I mean, it is what it is. But I am definitely excited for the better gunplay and the better VAT system. Maybe some more immersive story that gets into the sci-fi nitty-gritty. And the sci-fi aspect of Fallout is looking great. I mean, we got to see transforming mech suits, you know, those power armors, big spidery robots that you had to fight, all sorts of things. And there's even a saucy butler robot who's like, hey man, oh look at you, fancy man, over 200 years old. Well, I haven't seen you in, you know, like 180 years. We haven't had power in like 120, but you know, like, I guess I could cook you something up. I'm a robot butler. I mean, I've been killing a lot of snakes lately. Oh man, you wouldn't think the post-nuclear apocalypse would have so many snakes, so I hope you like snake nuggets. I don't know. I'm definitely excited for it. It's just, I'm reticent about so many things about it. They have a cute gimmick, though, with the Pip-Boy. Inside the game, on the Pip-Boy, you can play little mini-games, like their own version of Pac-Man, Pong, Space Invaders is another one. They've got their own version of King Kong, where you're like this evil ghost phantasm. That's kind of cool. I liked that. That is definitely improvement, and the Pip-Boy seems to work a lot better for menus and clarity for players. So we'll have to see where this goes. I'm definitely excited. Let me know what you guys think about the game in the comments. I'd love to hear your feedback on what you've seen so far. And I've been your host, Larry the Chupacabra. Don't forget to like and subscribe because that helps me out a whole bunch. And I will catch you next time. Got a couple more of these videos on the way. Not sure how many we'll be doing, but we'll definitely be wrapping it up this week and talking about things like who won. It's a weird topic to talk about, but I guess we'll have to tackle it this year. So until next time, have a good one, everybody, and toodaloo.